Hello, everybody. So, documenting. This is the first part. What I'm trying to do with this documentation is to really show the behind the scenes of me trying to figure out the meaning in what I make. At least for now, it's the meaning, on finding out how I'm going through the process to search for such a thing. I mean, I've already been doing this for some time, and I wish I documented that. But now it's time to just start and begin with it, because since my previous video I mentioned that I want to get into this. So the, the thing I'm currently doing in order to figure out such a quest is by researching. With research, I mean exploring on all the platforms in which I have favorited and liked different kinds of projects and illustrations or creations from other creators, and putting them all on a bigger board to sort of pinpoint the commonalities of why I like such a work. You know, is it perhaps the lighting, or is it perhaps the colors, or is it because it's a moving image, or is it because it captures something that is within the present, which is a common theme I did notice, like especially for videos where there are more of a present snapshots of a highlight of that certain moment. Now, another tool in which I'm using to get closer to such a thing is writing, because writing, it allows me to connect a lot better with my thoughts, which I found out. Even though speaking like this is also helpful, because it's making me think what exactly I'm trying to say to you, as a viewer, which will help as well for storytelling, because I'm not so good at storytelling, and I'm also not good at communicating, which is something I figured out throughout my internship and asking questions to other people. But how is this related to, finding meaning in the making? Well, finding meaning in the making, I think it's two sides. One is communicating with other people, like understanding others, because in the end we are creating for people to interact with our work. At least I would assume we are doing that as artists, as designers, as creators, as creatives, whichever title you use yourself as. And on the other side is a more of an intrinsic thing in which you are trying to have this sort of deep philosophical quest to exploring yourself, to understand yourself better, to finding why you exist as a person, like what's your motive in life, and that's for me what I think is very important as creators. Now, the last aspect in which I think is important for me at least to figure this out is by just creating a lot. I notice as soon as I start overthinking things, it becomes a lot more difficult to actually figure out, because for me what works best is by getting myself into dirt and exploring and finding out these little pebbles in which I think is interesting to look at. And that's the way I have always learned. And somehow sometimes I just forget about it and then ask myself why I'm not making any progress. Even throughout my internship, my mentor told me the same, in which I like to sketch a lot, and that is what I'm starting to really look back, in which I stopped finding meaning in the making, because I started delving too much into contextualization, on finding the philosophical side of things without creating anything. So, to paraphrase from Sean Tucker, because this is like a really beautiful book about this very thing I'm talking about, is you have to really take a step back and have a bird's eye view from what you're interested, not from what you're interested in, but by what you are interested in. Is it anime, or is it cars, or is it stargazing, Like recently I discovered a illustrator in which he paints very scientific illustrations based on science, but combining beautiful figure illustration mixed with surrealism to tell a story, you know? And in my case, what I notice is there's a lot of different areas in which I'm particularly interested in. There's motion design, illustration, um, animation. Well, not necessarily pure animation, but it's more like the anime things. And how can I combine that then with what I create? You know, graphic design. I think music is more of a hobby, but it's sort of half a relation to what I'm trying to figure out deep inside of myself in order to create for people to interact with. So, yeah, this is currently where I'm at with the whole finding meaning thing. Perhaps this is going to be most likely a part by part series. And also, this whole YouTube channel is going to be such an experiment in which you're going to see different sort of different type of content. Maybe some will be more about draw with me, or maybe others is more about creating a motion design. But I'm not sure if it's gonna be any sort of tutorials, because I think there's already a lot of tutorial type of channels out there, and there is a lack of more deep philosophical things for creating or for doing why we do what we do, you know. And going through such a failure or going through such a process to figuring it out. So yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you have a great beginning of the year, you know, because we're already almost a week in, or yeah, almost a week in already. It's going by. So yeah, thank you again and see you around. Bye bye.